गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So we are in Panchadashi chapter 1 we are on verse 33, and last week we saw the example taken was like an insect in a river going around with the flow, the current of the river takes the insect, sometimes in this whirlpool, sometimes in that whirlpool. He goes in, comes out, he is swimming away, but not knowing what dangers are there along that way. Why did he fall there? It just happened. And then by some grace, someone comes, has compassion on that insect, puts a stick out, this insect climbs onto the stick, and then that person puts that insect out on the under the tree. When I take shower every day, I'm not saying I'm a wise man, but I'm giving an example. When I take shower, spiders are there. I used to see where when I shower, suddenly 1 or 2 spiders will die because the water is there. So now what I do, I lift them and put them out of the shower cubicle. Then they can do what they want.
They come back.
They may come back afterwards, but not while I am showering. So did they expect that? No. Are you expecting? Yes. Someone should take you out of this. So like that, to think that everything is in our control, that is the wrong thing. So which is this river with so many whirlpools? This life. And by grace of satsang, by grace of the Lord, by grace of Mahatmas, somewhere we get clicked into this new way, inspired way to live at the with the grace, in union with the grace of the Lord. And suddenly we find that all the strife, all the difficulties, all the obstacles were only imagined in our life. Really, there is nothing like that. It can be a very, very beautiful life, because beauty is not out there. Beauty is in our hearts, and that beauty can be unfolded only when we are either thinking of the Lord or the Lord graces us. You can sit here. And in this way, and when that happens in our life, when it happens, we approach a saint or a sage or a teacher or a acharya and start, because when we find that everything in our life has not happened because of our doing, when this realization comes, that's when we start seeking. This seeking also has to drop, but initially it is okay to seek. Now, having told all that, what are the Panchakoshas and what does Panchakosha Vivek signify is taken up in the next few shlokas. 33rd verse. Annam prano mano buddhihi, annam prano mano buddhihi, anandascheti panchate, anandascheti panchate, koshastairavruta swatma, कोशास्तैरावृतः स्वात्मा विस्मृत्या संस्रुतिं व्रजेत् स्मृत्या संस्रुतिं व्रजेत्. The food, the vital air, the mind, the intellect and the bliss sheaths are the five sheaths. Covered by them, the Atma forgets its own essential nature and is subjected to cycle of birth and death. So what are these? Koshaha. Koshaha means covering. And here the covering is normally, I was thinking just now, when I looked at the pot has a cover. But there, the pot is bigger than the cover. But say you are going to sleep, you want to cover yourself with a sheet, the sheet is bigger than you. Here it is the opposite way. And what is that? Everything that is covered is bigger than that which is covering. So, body is small compared to what it is covering. What is it covering? The Pranamaya Kosh. So, Pranamaya Kosh is much more expansive than the gross body. The Pranamaya Kosh is covering the Manomaya Kosh. Manomaya Kosh is much more expansive than the Pranamaya Kosh, the vital air sheath. The mental sheath is covering the intellectual sheath, but intellectual sheath is even more expansive than the mental sheath. And the intellectual sheath is covering the bliss sheath, and the bliss sheath is even more expansive. And all these five put together are covering the Atma, which is infinite in nature. See? So, so therefore, when we think in this way, we think, oh, the vital air sheath, the breathing is inside, then mind is inside, then intellect is inside, Atma also inside, point here, point here, point here, think wherever. But it's the other way around.
So it's the embodied soul which is covering the body.
Truly speaking.
Okay.
Because Atma is the infinite. So within that Atma, the first avaranam is, it's like, take, you are going out in the sun and it's very, very hot. What do you take to cover yourself? An umbrella. Huh? How big is the umbrella? Maybe 1 meter wide, maximum. But it is covering the sun. You are not able to, you are not able to see it. You are having the shade. How big is the sun? Maybe zillion times bigger than the umbrella, isn't it? Same way, the Atma is infinite. It is covered by the bliss sheath. Then the bliss sheath is quite big. It is covered by the intellectual sheath. Intellectual sheath is covered by the mental sheath. Mental sheath is covered by the breath sheath, and the vital air sheath is covered by the body sheath. When we think about it, we think inside, 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 inside. Actually, it is outside, 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 outside. Start thinking that way, everything will fall away. Everything will drop. Then you don't even have to worry about which kosha, where. Everything will just drop. Mind will just expand. So what are these? These are the five koshas. And after this covering, as if the conscious principle gets identified with these five. And when it gets identified with these five, saying that I am only this body, I am only this mind, I am only this intellect, I am only this breathing apparatus, I am only this person who is feeling this joy in this body, then a Jivatma is born. What is the truth of the Atma, of the conscious principle? That it is pervading every body, every breath, every mind, every intellect, every bliss sheath, it is pervading, isn't it? But then, for some reason unknown, it gets identified with only one. And that's where the fall happens. An imagined fall. There cannot be a fall of Atma, but it is an imagined fall.
All these five sheets, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha,
Anandamaya Kosha.
Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya, is that one different from the Satchit Ananda? That Ananda was a different?
Different.
It's a different one.
Satchidanand is of the Atma.
Atma, right.
That is bliss.
Yeah.
That is bliss. This Anandamaya Kosha is happiness, joy.
Okay. Is that what how feel?
This is where this Anandamaya Kosh is experienced in deep sleep.
Okay.
So deep sleep is equal to Anandamaya Kosh. My intellect, so Annamaya Kosh, another way of putting these five is Annamaya Kosh is one, the breath, vital air sheath, mental sheath and intellectual sheath. These three put together is called subtle body. So gross body, subtle body and causal body. Bliss sheath is causal body, which is equal to deep sleep state. Okay? So in this way, the release from this vicious cycle can come only if the jiva shed its identification with these five koshas and recognize that it is of the nature of Paramatma. That is what we call as the spiritual unfoldment. Self-unfoldment. Can self unfold? Self is always. Then what are we talking about? We are talking about the unfoldment of the individual self. The original self cannot unfold. But right now, are you experiencing yourself to be the infinite self? No. So we are talking about the conditioned self. We are talking about its unfoldment, to recognize that it is essentially the infinite self. स्यात् पंचीकृत भूतोत्थो स्यात् पंचीकृत भूतोत्थो देहस्थूलो न संज्ञकः देहस्थूलो न संज्ञकः लिंगे तु राजसै प्राणैः लिंगे तु राजसै प्राणैः प्राण कर्मेन्द्रियै सह प्राण कर्मेन्द्रियै सह. The gross body made up of the grossified elements is called the Annamaya Kosh or the food sheet. Now they are qualifying each, telling us what each kosha is. So the gross body made up of the gross elements. So the tamas aspect of the gross element, space, air, fire, water, earth, that goes into making the gross body, and therefore it is called as Annamaya Kosh. Another reason you can give is because it subsists, gross body subsists on annam, on food. And therefore it is Annamaya Kosh. The Pranmaya Kosh is the Rajoguna aspect of the subtle body consisting of Karmendriyas and the five pranas. So the subtle body is made up of, why they are saying only Rajoguna? Because the Tamoguna expresses as the Karmendriyas. Karmendriyas?
No, but this is called Karmendriyas as well.
What did I say? The Pranamaya Kosh is the Rajoguna aspect of the subtle body consisting of the Karmendriyas and the five pranas. Okay. The Pranamaya Kosh is made out of Linga and Lingetu Rajasai Pranaihi Karmendriyai. The Rajoguna aspect of the Linga Sharira, namely the five Karmendriyas and the five pranas. So what were the five Karmendriyas and the five pranas? Remember we did it before? The total Rajoguna brings about the five pranas, and the individual Rajoguna of each five elements brings about the Karmendriyas. That's what we saw now before, in the beginning of the chapter. Not beginning, but few verses back, where we saw what was the Sattva Guna at the individual level and the total aspect of the Sattva Guna. Then Rajoguna is this. Satvikairddhendriyai sakam Satvikairddhendriyai sakam Vimarshatma manomayah Vimarshatma manomayah Taireva sakam vijnana तैरेव साकं विज्ञान मयोधिर्निश्चयमिका मयोधिर्निश्चयमिका. The doubting mind, along with the effects of sattva guna, with jnanendriya as manomaya kosha, while the decisive intellect along with these sense organs is called vijnanamaya kosh. So the mind is always doubting. So what is the difference between the vijnanamaya kosh and the manomaya kosh? Or should say it the other way, manomaya kosh and vijnanamaya kosh. Manomaya, both are mind only. They come under category of mind. But the functional difference is manomaya kosh is doubting, suspecting, emotional, unsure about anything, fickle, what we call as fickle mind. And what is Vijnanamaya kosh, the intellectual sheath? Decisive. So, what is mind? Nothing but flow of thoughts. Those thoughts which are of the nature of doubt and suspicion, they are called as they come under the category of manomaya kosh, the mental sheath, and those thoughts which are decisive in nature, they come under the category of intellectual sheath. And this comes along with the jnanendriyas. That intellect which is of the nature of decisiveness, along with the same jnanendriyas, is called the Vijnanamaya kosh or intellectual sheath. In this way, the 17 elements of the body are divided to constitute the prana, mano and Vijnanamaya kosha. Now remember, yesterday we did the quiz. 17 we didn't have anything, isn't it? Here we have 17. What are they? 5 pranas, 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, makes it 15, mind and intellect. This makes it 17.
Swamiji, mind is made up of actually mind, intellect, ego and...
No, that is antahkaran.
Antakaran.
That is
so
antahkaran.
Antakaran.
Yes, it's another way of looking at it.
Okay.
Antakaran is mana buddhi chitta ahankar, isn't it?
So here they split the
They are split. Here we are just going through koshas. In koshas there is no antakaran.
Okay.
Where are we? 36th verse. Karane sattvamananda Karane sattvamananda Mayo modadi vruttibihi Mayo modadi vruttibihi Tattat koshaistu tadatmyad Tattat koshaistu tadatmyad Atma tattanmayo bhavet Atma tattanmayo bhavet. The causal body associated with the different degrees of joy such as moda, priya, pramoda, etc. is the anandamaya kosh. The Atma identified with individual kosha assumes to have become annamaya kosh, etc. So here the three things are there, priya, moda and pramoda. Just like we have Ashanti, Shanti, Prashanti, we have similarly we have Priya, Mod and Pramod. First is when we see something, we like it, isn't it? When we see, first point of contact is when we see or we hear or we taste or we like it. That word like here is called as Priya. Then when we like something, second thing happens within our bosom, we desire it, we want to have it, and that is called moda. And third is when we have attained that, we have had that, and that thing becomes one with us, it is called pramoda. So he has got laddus, he told me it is laddu, so I have liking for laddu, Priya. So I am waiting now when the class will be over so that the laddu become one with me. I will give only little to everyone, rest I will eat. Moda. And when that laddu goes inside me and becomes one with me, pramoda. Okay. Now, think in another way. This is one thing. It is from the, what they say here, that the Atma identified with individual koshas assumes to have become Annamaya kosha, etc. So, without the conscious principle, these five koshas have got no existence possible. Because we see when the conscious principle leaves the body, what happens to all the five sheaths? Within few days, everything will disintegrate. The heat from the body immediately merges with the heat of the total atmosphere. The air leaves already, it goes and merges into the total. The body starts disintegrating, that becomes dust and becomes one with the earth, isn't it? The waters which are contained within the body, though they go back into the total waters, meaning they evaporate and must precipitate somewhere in your garden. The space which the body was occupying, that goes back to the total space. So all the five elements go back to them, back to their total. But this only happens when the conscious principle leaves. So who is keeping these five together? The conscious principle. So mind as mind, intellect as intellect, bliss sheath as bliss sheath, pranmaya kosh as pranmaya kosh, and annamaya kosh as annamaya kosh can exist only when they are bound together. They are like Krishna is holding the reins of the five horses. Similarly, this conscious principle is holding the reins of the five sheaths. See? And in this way, thus identification of the pure self with the five koshas give rise to five types of expressions in which one or the other kosha predominates. So sometimes when we go through various feelings and experiences, sometimes if I say that at the body level, what will I say? I am comfortable or discomfortable. I am feeling it's too hot or it is too cold. When I am identified with the pranamaya kosh, the predominant feeling is I am hungry or I am thirsty. When I am identified with the manokmaya kosha, is the various emotions. I am joy, I like this, I dislike that, I am happy, I am sad, etc., etc. When I am at the intellectual, identified with the intellectual sheath, that time the feeling is that thank you for praising me. Thank you for, and you get angry if someone insults you. It's honor and dishonor. And when you are identified with the, what do you call? Anandamaya kosha. Those are the different degrees of joy. Now, how does the seeker separate the Atma from the clutches of these five koshas? One answer has already been given. What was the answer? Like the insect was taken out of the river, we are also graced by Lord, by a great Mahatma, by a teacher, by providence. Grace is always there. All the time. There has never been a moment in our life when grace has not been flowing to us. But we have not been in tune. It's like we are continuously changing the channel in the car while driving. And suddenly something, when it is on you put it on automatic search. You put it there and you get the channel which you want, but already it has gone ahead when it is on automatic search. And then again you search backwards and again you get lost in looking at the road and again it has gone further. So then you stop the car, you I am very close to you, and you did not observe what the number was, the channel, and you wait and you fix it, and then you start driving. Same thing here also. Here we have come into the, what do you call, emergency lane. This is the emergency lane, 11 Walsley Avenue. We have come for satsang. All of us. Because suddenly we are at rest. We are not running around, we are not rushing around, we are not we are not come here to find solutions to the world. We have come here to find out who we are, to recognize who we are. Today she sent an email. She said, what? Good teachers do not teach, they enlighten.
No, good teachers teach, great teachers enlighten.
Oh, yeah.
No, I just meant
Okay. Good teachers teach, great teachers enlighten. So you have come here to help yourself. And what is that help? To recognize yourself. We are not come here to create another system, no, we are not come here for that. Because see, little bit out of the topic, but mind, as we say, where does it function?
The body.
No.
You mean the total mind.
What is the sphere?
self.
No. Mind only functions either in the past or in the future. This way I am saying. Okay. What you are saying is also right, but not in the context what I am saying. It functions only in the past or in the future. Why? Past has got so much space. So many years. Future has also got so many years, so much space, so much time. So the mind can revel in it. In the present moment, there is no space and there is no time. That is why it is called the moment. And therefore, in the present moment, mind is not. So why do we come to satsang? Not to collect information. We come to satsang, we do meditation or we sit in meditation so that we can come in the moment. So that mind stops wavering, oscillating between past and future. It becomes, the moment it comes into the present moment, it becomes still. Because movement is only possible where there is space and time, isn't it? In the present moment, in the now, in the here and now, there is no space and time. Then what is there? Then what is there in the present moment? In the here and now? Only the self, only the grace, only the infinite. So if this is clear, with this attitude you come into the satsang. With this attitude you sit in meditation. With this attitude you chant your Lalita Sahasranama or whatever prayers you do. Then see the magic happen. We don't have to chant it 1,000,000 times to come to that point. You have to do it right now. And that now is available to you every moment. See? Now, how does the seeker separate the Atma from the clutches of the five koshas? The verse says by Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam. By Anvaya is inclusion, Vyatirek is exclusion. So, what is this process of inclusion and exclusion? Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam. Vyatirekabhyam. Panchakosha Vivekatah. Panchakosha Vivekatah. Swatmanam tata uddhrutya. Swatmanam tata uddhrutya. Param Brahma prapadyate. Param Brahma prapadyate. By the process of discrimination of five sheaths, through the technique of Anvaya Vyatirek, thus having transcended oneself, above them, one attains the status of Supreme Brahman. So what is this? Anvaya Vyatirekabyam Swatmanam Tata Udhritya Param Brahma Prapadyate. That to come to this Brahmatmaikya Bodha, to come to this experience, direct experience of the self, one needs to put into place this technique of inclusion and exclusion, of Anvaya and Vyatirek on the 5 koshas. When one discovers through this discrimination, what is that to be discovered? First, that I, who was thinking, am this body, this breathing person or this thinking person. This delusion is removed. You come to recognize that this I is independent of the body, is independent of the mind, independent of the breath, independent of the mind, independent of the intellect, independent of all the different joys, degrees of joys. Once you come to recognize this, then the second stage comes, and that is Anvaya. That is, this I, which I have discovered to be, which I am. I have discovered that I am not these 5 sheaths. Then who am I? Then the recognition or realization that this I is the infinite I, not the individual I. This is the Anvaya. Anvaya means once you recognize that this I that I have come to, so you Vyatirek, I am not the gross body, I am not the breath body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the causal body or the Anandmaya Kosh, then I am as I am. I come to this by systematically working out the 5 sheets. Then who is this? Acha, I am that who is infinite in nature. This is not one per person, this is only one. Just like one sun is reflecting in all the windows. It's not many suns, it's only one sun. Or we can say one sun reflecting in all the buckets of water. It's not many suns, it's the one. Then this recognition comes that I, this which I have discovered myself, is the same one who's expressing through all the bodies or all the entire Panchakoshas in the entire creation. Do I need to think about the creation? No. Just this experience of Anvaya is not an experience through the mind. Vyatirek is through the mind, and slowly you are coming to, and eventually till everything is dropped, the mind is there. But once it is dropped, then only you are there. But in the Anvaya, understanding may have been there before, that I have to recognize that this I which I have discovered myself to be is the infinite I, but the experience is not like that. Experience is direct experience. It's aparoksha anubhuti. It's spontaneous. It's spontaneous. It is not a gradual process. You don't gradually fall to sleep. You may say, I am gradually going, now I am preparing after the class, I will have a glass of milk, then I will go to my bedroom, then I will change into my night dress, then I will put the light off, I will put the night lamp on, I will get into the bed, I will read a book. But we are not, nothing in there was about sleep. It was about reading a book, it was about changing clothes, it was about putting off light. Where was the topic of sleep there? But when it happens, sleep happens, isn't it? So all the preparation, you may have in your mind an idea that all this leads to sleep, but all this is not equal to sleep. Many people do all this and never go to sleep. See? Similarly, you may discriminate everything, but that does not mean that you will come to that point. Somewhere if something is left over, The objectivity has to be dropped in the end, isn't it?
So consciously negating the panchakoshas to some extent.
Yes, initially consciously, you have to give up the
To the
gross,
mind.
once the mind is given up, then how will you give up Anandamaya Ghosh?
You can't.
So, it could. If you have already given up the intellect, how will you give up the Anandamaya Kosh? So while living in, being in the intellect, you prepare your mind not to get caught up in the Anandamaya Kosh. Because Anand, the degrees of joys that you are experiencing is only on account of identification with some conviction in the intellect, some emotion in the mind, some experience at the breath level and some experience at the body level. So don't get disturbed don't allow yourself to be buffeted by the joys and sorrows. Then you are free of Anandamaya Kosh. Isn't it? But that decision has to be made in the intellect.
Yeah. So you can't really relinquish the intellect at any point.
You cannot. It must drop away by Urva Rukumeva Bandhanat. You cannot drop it. Ego will never, because ego is a product of that intellect. It will not drop it. It must drop away. It will only drop away when the goal is clear for the intellect. The intellect drops away because it is very clear that if I go to sleep, I'll be refreshed tomorrow morning. Therefore it drops away. Isn't it? When it becomes convinced that by contemplating on the truth, even though I don't know what the truth is, just like I don't know what sleep is, yet I'm thinking about sleep every night. Does anyone know what sleep is? Can intellect give you an answer what sleep is? Or it's a no thought mind? Can intellect while thinking thoughts come to experience a no thought mind? It's not possible. Yet it seeks the sleep every night, isn't it? Isn't it? See, this is what we are doing every day. So why not you change, instead of sleep, still an unknowable, why not seek the Atma? Why not seek the truth? Why not seek the self? Still an unknowable. If mind can give up for something which is temporary called sleep every night, don't you think that the mind or intellect will give up for something which is infinite called the self? Even though it is an idea for the intellect at the moment. Why? Because in sleep, intellect feels liberated.
No thoughts.
No thoughts is the liberation. All because intellect is holding the whole thing together.
That means we are losing energy with all the thoughts.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thinking uses more energy than physical exercise.
But I think to come to that point, even at the grossest body level, you need to let go of so many things.
No, you don't need to let go of anything. You only need to contemplate on the truth. You cannot let go of anything. I've said this hundreds of times. Nothing in this life you can let go. You can only grow out of. So you want to grow out of the...
So that is also a process of growing out of. Like
No, letting go is taking and the charge, taking the responsibility that I am letting go. So I am holding this book. I am going to let go of this book. It is my decision.
Ego comes.
But that's right. But growing out of, you don't even know that you have let go and you have moved to something higher and subtler. See? So when you are going, when you climb up a ladder, do you say I have let go of the first step?
no,
That thought doesn't come to your mind. You only say that I have reached the first floor landing. I have reached the destination. So this is the positive way. You seek a higher goal. The lower will automatically fall away. And that is the best way. And those people who think they can let go, they are you can force yourself through pranayam, through various other with deep, intense thinking. You can let go. But the moment you let go of your alertness, bang, it will come back, it will rebound, and it will rebound with a great force, whatever you have let go. Because the longing, because the what you call the rasa for that has not left yet. Rasa has not come. So best way is that you shift your attention to something higher, and the lower will automatically drop off. You did not come here by saying, I am letting go of my house to get attached to 11 Wolseley Avenue. You didn't say that. You didn't say, I am letting go of the car so that I can enter the house. But instead, what are you doing? You have set a goal for yourself to come to Wolseley Avenue. Automatically, the house got dropped. In that sense, you came inside, automatically the car got dropped, automatically the slippers got dropped, automatically the world got dropped the moment satsang began. What was your effort? Zero. If at all you may say, effort was to move in the direction that was required to be, that you were required to be moved. That's all.
But that's again a temporary.
But we are telling you the principle. We are telling you the principle.
It's something temporary still. It's not.
It is temporary.
Permanent.
Yes, it is temporary. And slowly, when you create a data, create a pattern in your life that instead of letting go, you are continuously growing out of. Eventually, you will see. Automatically this question will pop in your mind. What is that? After which there is nothing more to grow into. That will be the self. After that, there is nothing else. Only self is there. And because by contemplating on the self, everything else has got dropped. You can think of Pranamaya Kosh, Annamaya Kosh will drop away. You can think of Manomaya Kosh, the previous two, Annamaya Kosh and Pranamaya Kosh will drop away. You think of intellectual sheath, the gross sheath, the vital air sheath and the mental sheath, they will drop away. Automatically. Scientists are not worried about food, they are not worried about hunger and thirst, they are not worried about emotions. They are so engrossed in their research. They don't even know when the day came and when the night happened, isn't it? Those who are very involved.
It's a meditation.
It's a meditation for them. See? Why? At an intellectual level, all these drop away. Look at yourself when you were studying, you did the same thing when you gave your various exams. You dropped, automatically everything got dropped because you are so focused on something higher. And what was the higher? At that time, it's not the education and this and that. You are at the intellectual sheath level. See? Similarly, when this intellect becomes convinced that I must seek the infinite, then even intellect will drop away. But you cannot let go of intellect, you cannot let go of anything. Get out of that language. There are many books written on letting go. You can't let go of anything.
Swami, just with a clarification, does it Annamaya Kosha control the Pranamaya Kosha?
Annamaya Kosha?
Is it controlling the Pranamaya Kosha?
No,
Is
it
under control of this one? Which is how it's old.
You tell me.
No, I thought the old Manomaya Kosha is controlling Annamaya Kosha and the Pranamaya Kosha.
Tell someone answer. Is Pranamaya Kosha controlling the Annamaya Kosha? Is the vital air sheath controlling the gross body sheath? Or the other way around?
Pranamaya Kosha controls the.
Annamaya.
Yeah.
It seems that the pranamaya kosha is inside the gross body, isn't it? But what did I say in the beginning? Is the other way around. Even though that is not your experience, you don't feel that way. But if you think a little bit, the air is more pervasive than the body, isn't it? So that which is more pervasive controls the less pervasive.
That's how the five elements work
Hmm.
in the atmosphere. Air is more stronger than water is more.
But yes, the earth can contain the water, the fire, and the air, etc. It can. So if you want to douse the fire, what do you use? Water. To control the, what do you use? You put a dam. It's earth, isn't it? So body can condition the pranamaya kosh, but pranamaya kosh can destroy the is pervading the annamaya kosh.
If prana is not there, annamaya kosha will die.
It will vanish if prana is not there. You have not come. We have not come across anyone who is not breathing and still living.
Actually, in one of the Upanishads, they ask which is Brahman. In one of them, they say prana is the Brahman,
No.
because without prana, none of the koshas can function. But I don't know which one it was. I read it long ago.
Yes, and then the meaning of prana first is taken as pranamaya kosh, then it is taken as the hiranyagarbha, then it is taken as the infinite. Three meanings are taken.
It is a whole.
So is it the reason why you say, well, mind cannot find Brahman, and the God's grace is required because mind doesn't exist at that point, isn't it? It's a God's grace.
Correction. There is no difference between Brahman and grace.
Wow.
Same.
They are just two different words of the same. So don't think by grace we will reach Brahman. Grace is Brahman. It is here right now. Catch the moment. Don't go into past or future, and you are there. You have always been there. But because of identification with body, breath, mind, intellect, you think that you are not there. Because of this identification.
It's like the Brahma or self is expressing as words, seeing.
That will happen later on. So here, see, there are many ways of approach. To discover the self to be expressing as the senses, as the pranas, as the five sheaths, as all the objects of the world, it is that is the ultimate.
The body is within the self.
Correct. Not only this body, all the bodies.
All bodies.
All bodies with all koshas.
Yes.
But that is a very humongous proposition for this intellect, who doesn't even know what the self is. And therefore this exercise of Vyatirek and Anvaya. First, find out, very important, that I am not this body, I am not this breath, I am not this mind, I am not this intellect, I am not this bliss, conditioned bliss. Then, who am I? I am the one who is observing all these five functioning in this life. And once you become convinced that nothing in your life, the body did not come because you choose, breath did not start or stop because you choose, thoughts do not come and go because you choose, convictions do not come and go because you choose, then suddenly it is, I was living in a fool's world then. Nothing is happening because of me. I thought the whole world was because of me. So once you come to this point, and not just intellectually, but in your own meditation, you come to be the witness of all these five, then the second part that you are talking about, this witness realizes that it is not one per body. It is not only in this body. It is infinite in nature.
It's like we are electricity, not bulb or washing machine or kettle or anything.
It's
We are
exactly. But for that, first you have to recognize your electricity, not the bulb.
Yeah.
So right now we are feeling like the bulb.
Yeah, you not had the direct experience.
Right now we are thinking as a bulb. As a bulb, I want to contemplate what is electricity. It can never happen. I have to give up the identification with the bulb, its filament, its form, everything. Cathode, anode, everything I have to give up. Till that point. The moment I give up cathode, anode, then I can merge into the grace. Then I can merge into the electricity. Then there is no question that I have dropped the bulb. Then I am. That's it. Without a thought, without a word. And that is this process of Anvaya and Vyatirek. When one discovers by Panchakosha Vivek that I apostrophe is someone other than the Panchakoshas, that is the 5 sheets, the next step is to discover that this I is of the nature of Brahman. That this I which I have discovered, which is illuminating, which is witnessing the 5 sheets, is actually of the nature of infinite. It is eternal. It is all pervasive, it's omniscient, is omnipresent, is beyond space, time and objectivity. It has never been conditioned. And it is not, you are not thinking all this objectively. Even while these thoughts are coming, you know these thoughts are talking about you, the one because of whom the thoughts are appearing. See? How? Give you an example. Not Leela, you have done it. You have, I'll put it in a context where you will realize that you have also done it. You are going from train from Delhi to Bombay, and in between there are many stations coming, right? And in India, after every station the train stops, there is some yummy things to eat. So you get down from the train, quickly go and grab an ice cream or a chole bhature or some mangoes. But while you are doing your shopping, you are talking, you are searching, you are arguing, you are bargaining, you are taking the money out, but where is your attention? That the train should not, has the train started moving? Has it gone? No. Continuously you keep checking? Or in the back of your mind, continuously the thought is about the train. You may be involved totally in the world of, you may fight also, argue also and raise your voice, but attention is on the train. If train starts, you will drop bang, everything. You will run back to the train, isn't it? So you know how to do it. The technology is there with you. While doing everything, while listening right now, while talking right now, just like you are aware of the train, you are not thinking again and again in your mind, has the train left, has the train left, has the train left? You are not doing that, but you are aware totally. You are absolutely so alert that even a slight beep, you suddenly, your attention will shift. Was that a beep of the train? That alertness is required every moment. So this is one station where you have found yourself to be born. You are disembarked and you are doing the shopping. Keep your attention. Is the train of the self leaving? Catch it.
Get the next train.
Can't we?
Or get the next train.
Next second.
Or wait
for the next train. No next train. No next train now.
This normally happens when I travel. Do I go to sleep? I get up before the alarm clock. Because I know subconsciously that I have to travel. So before the alarm goes off, I normally get up. It's there behind when you go to sleep.
So my point of giving this example is, we have the technology. We all are using it. in our daily life, maybe not for the truth, but in other areas we are using it. Right now I'm talking to you all, but 5 past 9 or 5 to 9 I'll stop. My mind is there. I may not be continuously looking at time, but an inner thing is telling me when the time is approaching. So that alertness is required. So while you are listening, don't get lost in, do all that. But important thing is that remain aware.
I think we might feel that maybe children, when we are young, we are not taught about the ultimate goal.
This is where 300 years ago the whole system changed. The Britishers taught us how not to think. The Gurukul system used to teach that. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years, this system was prevalent. Then if a person has the desire to be a married person, he went, got married, had children, but did not forget the goal of life. If the desire was there to be a great ruler, he will go and become a great minister or a great commander-in-chief or a great king, but he will not forget the goal.
Yeah, that is
Because it has to, what is there has to express, otherwise it will become suppression. But when you, from the childhood, you have been told and you recognize what is the purpose of life, why this form I have taken. That is not being taught.
Swamiji, is it not a fundamental desire of every living being to unite with the source of creation?
It is.
Yes.
It is. But after having made this statement, tell me how many people in this world are consciously making that effort or even recognizing it. On one side you say that why there is effort to be put, we are already that. Then live like that. Are you living like that? No. That means something is amiss. Then why are you not searching? Oh no, because we are already that. No, you want both ways. It is inherent in every one of us. But what has happened is, instead of searching for the truth, we are searching for that in the world, which is not possible. It is not possible. Answers are not there in the world. Answers are there in the self, in the grace, in the divine, in that unknowable whatever it is. See? And that inner quest, that inherent feeling that I must know that there is something, has brought you here. It makes you sit in meditation. It makes you go and meet Mahatmas. It makes you be a good person. It makes you not get over involved in the world, only to a certain extent. What is the meaning of Anvaya Vyatireka? How does it help in separating the Atma from the Panchakoshas? Abhane stula dehasya swapne yadbhanamatmanaha sonvayo vyatirekastada Bhanenyānavabhāsanam. In the dream state, there is no identification with gross body, but there is illumination of dream by the Atma. This presence of the Atma is Anvaya, although the Atman is present but does not identify it with gross body. It is called Vyatireka, absence of gross body in Atma. See, now automatically it is happening. What is that? The first example is taken that Swapne Sthula Dehasya Abhane, in the dream state, the gross, you the conscious principle is not identified with the gross body. If the conscious principle is identified with the gross body, what it is called? The waking state. It is called the waking state. In dream, what are you identified with? With the subtle state. You are not identified with the gross. You are not identified with this body. You are there. The whole world, space, air, fire, water, earth, people, animals, trees, houses, children, everything is only a thought, isn't it? Is only a thought. The food eaten in the dream does not satisfy the hunger of the gross body, does it? No. So this is Vyatireka of gross body. So in dream, did you invoke the dream? Or dream happened? Dream happens, isn't it? So when dream happens, did you let go of the gross body? Or
in the dream.
Yeah, dream also happened and the gross body also dropped away. Because gross body dropped away, therefore you could be in dream, isn't it? So you did not know, you don't go to sleep because you want to dream. You go to sleep to be in sleep and rest. But dream happens. But in that process, you disidentify with the body. That disidentification with the body is Vyatirek. You have let go of the body, you have grown out of the body identification.
Swamiji, in that case, for Mahatmas, this birth is a dream.
Absolutely. See, every time we say, you must inquire not only of the waking state. You have to take the waking, dream and the deep sleep, all three together. Don't only inquire about the waking, you will never find an answer. But inquiry can be done only in the waking state initially. Till a certain level of purification happens, then that inquiry or processes, they continue in the dream also. So always take all the three together. That is one unit. Waking is not one unit. Waking is only 1/3 of a unit. Yat atmanah bhanam saha anvayah. But there is a presence which is illuminating the dream experience. So how do you know what dream took place? Because of that, some presence was there. You don't know. We are just calling it X factor right now. Even though that is the self, right? When you wake up, you know there was a dream. You know tidbits here and there. And you can come to this realization that dream could not have happened if you were still identified with the body, right? So it means body disidentification is there on one side, which is called Vyatirek of the body, and the other side is someone was observing the dream, isn't it? That becomes the Anvaya.
But that someone or consciousness is the same principle which is operating the waking body as well, isn't it? That's
Yes.
when the gross body awakens.
So that one alone expresses as the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, no?
Yeah.
That one alone is expressing. But in spite of waker, dreamer, deep sleeper experience in the waking world, dream world and deep sleep world, this fellow always remains the witness. Even though it expresses as all the three. When does problem begin? When this fellow forgets that I am observing. If you forget that you are a woman, then you will become a mother, a wife, a daughter. But you can continue to be and behave and respond like a wife, sister and daughter, or mother and daughter, and yet be yourself, isn't it? This is what we are talking about. So right now, take that example to this point, at this very moment. You can continue to listen and yet be the witness. I can continue to speak and yet be the witness of speaking. See? You get out of the way. You just remain as the observer. And actually speaking, this is exactly what is happening. You think you are speaking. The ego thinks. Who is this ego which does not exist is thinking that I am speaking. See?
The things which is happening in the waking state, it is the mind that store it or to bring it back as a memory. But can't we
No,
say
it is not a memory.
it is not a memory? Okay.
Is dream a memory?
No, I mean the waking state I'm talking about. Something happening.
Ah,
How do we know we can recollect it? Because the mind holds that memory, isn't it?
yeah.
Would it not be that in a dream the mind is half awake or something? You can't be.
But dreamer has his mind, waker has his mind.
Okay.
If the mind is same, then all the satisfaction that you had by eating in the waking state should have satisfied you in the dream state also. Does it happen? Or all the food and difficulties of life that you suffered in dream state, that should have been enough to make you go to the spiritual path. But still in waking state you got married. Sorry, you asked for it. It doesn't know. Experiences of the dream are totally exclusive, and experiences of the waking are totally exclusive. Yes, mind may be the same, but there is no entry of the waker into the dream world or the dreamer into the waking world, isn't it? But there is someone who knows I am awake. There is someone who knows that I had a dream. There is someone who knows that I had a fantastic dreamless sleep. Isn't it? Who is that person? That is the one we are, our goal. Even at this moment, and this conclusion can come only in the waking state. So while you are in the waking state, you are talking about this for a minuscule second. You touch yourself. Minuscule second. Very quickly afterwards, again the waking personality will take over. But every time you think that, yes man, who was the one who came to know? If there was no thought, there was no mind, who came to know I had a dreamless sleep? If I was not in the dream, then who came to know I had a dream? If dreamer was dreaming the dream, then who was watching the dreamer and the dream? Who was watching the dreamer and the dream? For those few moments when you come to remain nonplussed, you can't come to a conclusion. You are it. You are it. But it is a fleeting moment. Very quickly the identification of the gross body again comes back. Because you cannot come to a conclusion. And what is the afterwards? What conclusion you come to in the waking state? I don't know, what am I thinking? And you brush it away as if it was a foolish thought. It was not a foolish. You were in grace at that moment. That is why it is called discovery. It is called recognition. You are not seeking something which is other than you. You are not finding something which is other than you. You are only rediscovering yourself from an identified one to a free one. And for that process is this Anvaya and Vyatirek. So now the first case they took was about the dream state. So in the dream state we are not identified with the gross. Someone is there who is not identified with the gross body, and someone is there who is also observing the dreamer and the dream state. So that means there is Vyatirek, there is a discarding of the Annamaya Kosh, disidentification from the gross body, and there is inclusion of the subtle body. Right? that presence, the truth or the Atma which is illuminating the dream state is called Anvaya. We are not talking about the dreamer. We are talking about that who is in the waking state. We can come to this conclusion that me, the waker, was not in the dream, and yet I remember what went on in the dream. Then who was there? That one is the Anvaya. That one is the Atma. Can it be other than me? No, it is only me. But you keep holding on, you are deducing. You are trying, in this contemplation, you are giving up the waker dreamer and all the various personalities that you consider yourself to be. Moving on to the next one. The other aspect, the absence of the gross body in the dream state is called Vyatireka of the gross body.
She's fighting.
Similarly, Lingabhane sushuptau syad. Lingabhane sushuptau syad. Atmano bhanamanvayah. Atmano bhanamanvayah. Vyatirekastu tadbhane. Vyatirekastu tadbhane. Lingasya bhanamuchyate. Lingasya bhanamuchyate. In the deep sleep state, although there is no identification with the subtle body, the presence of Atma is called Anvaya. However, although Atma is present in the deep sleep, but the subtle body is not included in its cognition, it is called as Vyatirek of the subtle body. So first we did the Vyatirek of the gross body. Now we are doing Vyatirek, that means detachment from the subtle body. What does subtle body express as? The dream, isn't it? Only because you disidentified with the subtle body, there is a possibility for you to go into the causal state, which is the deep sleep state. You cannot go into the causal state if you are still dreaming. You cannot go into the dream state if you are identified with the gross body. Oh, but sometimes I remember I am scratching myself or I am turning. For that moment you became identified. But immediately you again go back into the dream. So who was observing that there was that it was not attached to the subtle body, that there was deep sleep? That is the Anvaya. Detachment from the dream is the Vyatirek. Clear? So again, beginning from first, from the waking state to the dream state. In the dream, we are disidentified with the gross body, that is Vyatirek. Detachment of the gross body is called the Vyatirek of the gross body. What is Anvaya here? Anvaya is who is the one who is observing the dream. That is the Anvaya. Then we go further. We go from dream to deep sleep. When we go from dream to deep sleep, we get, that is only possible when we get detached from the dream state. So that is called Vyatirek of the dream state. Then what is Anvaya? Anvaya is who is that who is observing the deep sleep state? That is Anvaya. That Anvaya who is observing the deep sleep, that Anvaya who is observing the dream is one and the same. And that Anvaya is here in the waking state also. But you have to access that fellow. You are that, but you are not allowing that fellow to come to the forefront. Why? We are identified with so many things. We are preoccupied with the body, with the relationships, with the world, with our emotions, with our convictions. Till all these do not subside, we will not become available. And the moment you become available, bang, there you go. So therefore, again and again in our Bhagavad Gita it says, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Maintain, be equanimous, have a balanced mind, live a non-reactionary life. This is the reason. Because the moment mind becomes balanced, it's neither in the past, nor in the future, nor it's not in the likes, not in the dislikes. It remains non-reactive to whatever the life is throwing at it. Immediately in that instant, it becomes that anvaya. So there will be vyatirek of the waking and there will be anvaya of the one who is observing the waking. And this anvaya is the constant state.
Swamiji, is it necessary to go through the dream state? You can even go from waking.
Yes, that is possible.
Deep sleep time.
Yes, it can possible. We are trying to, our point is not on deep sleep or dream. Our point is to catch that anvaya, the unchanging principle, the eternal witness in whose presence every day the waker comes and goes, the dreamer comes and goes, the deep sleeper comes and goes, the waking world comes and goes, the dream comes and goes, and the sleep comes and goes. We are talking about, put attention on that, not on the changing. And that is only possible when we give up the changing. When we give up the changing in the sense through the contemplation, it is called vyatirek. Nothing can be given up. We are just being aware. Your contemplation is happening. You are not taking anything. I give up this. You are not doing like this. You are not even taking any thought in your mind and saying, no, I will not give you attention. You are not even doing this. You are just reorienting your whole mind to that one in whose presence all these three states of experiences are coming and going.
Be like a rock, mountain.
To that we are shifting our attention. Because if we don't shift our attentions towards this anvaya, towards this eternal witness, because intellect has the capacity to intuit, isn't it? It knows there is someone. Now logically we have worked it out. We know there is someone who is knowing it. Even though we don't know what it is, scriptures are saying I am, but I am still thinking about it objectively, isn't it? First we have to become convinced of that. That really I am all the time, but that is not my experience. And slowly, if you keep thinking, contemplating in this way, whatever you are not convinced, whatever fears are there, whatever is stopping you from plunging into that surrender, slowly, everything will drop away. Everything. All we have to do is keep contemplating on that eternal witness, that anvaya, vastu. And you cannot put attention on anvaya and still have identification with the body. Not possible. You cannot contemplate on the anvaya while still contemplating on the dream. Can't. You may use an example of a dream to catapult your mind to the anvaya. So use it as a means. Don't make dream the goal. Don't make waking the goal. Don't make sleep the goal. They are just means so that your attention shifts towards the unchanging principle. You saying something?
In the waking state, are we identified also with a subtle body?
Of course. How can you speak otherwise?
Okay.
What is subtle body? Have you heard of daydreaming? People are identified.
Yeah.
What is subtle body? 5 pranas, 5 senses, 5 organs of action. This is subtle body. Plus mind and intellect. 17 things. Just now we told her when we began the chapter. 5 pranas, pranapan, vyan, udan, saman. 5 senses, seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting. 5 organs of action: speech, hands, legs, anus and genitals, plus mind, plus intellect. This is called subtle body. Without it you cannot even function. A person who does not have subtle body functioning is called a vegetable while living. Isn't it? Where are we now? Which verse we are on?
39.
39. In deep sleep, we did this already. However, although Atman is present in the deep sleep, but the subtle body is not included in its cognition, it is called as Vyatirek or subtle body. So what is that which is illuminating the deep sleep state? That is the Atma. While it is illuminating the deep sleep state, is it including the dream state? No, it is not. Because if it is including the experience of the dream, it cannot illuminate the deep sleep. It can do only one thing at a time. See? Why has this concept of Linga Sharira been brought in while dealing with the Panchakosha Vivek is now explained. What's the time, Maria? We'll look at it next time.
Swamiji, you said that the Atma is not present in, it's only present in one state at a time.
I didn't say that.
No, just now you said when it's functioning in deep sleep, it's not functioning in the dream.
Okay, tell me, right now you're looking at me. How many things are you illuminating?
Just myself.
Don't ask any question then. Myself. That is correct. But with your eyes, they are illuminating this form at the moment, because even though there are many things, but where is your attention? Here. Atma is illuminating. Yes, Atma is illuminating, but what is in front of it is dream state. What is that dream state? It's Prakriti. Prakriti can, because Atma is the ultimate illuminator.
Yeah,
But what sun does not say that it can illuminate everything because it's of the nature of light, but it will only illuminate what comes in front of it. If right now America is in front of it, it cannot illuminate Australia. Similarly, Atma is there everywhere. What is it illuminating? Whatever comes in front of it. What is coming? Right now, waking state is there. After some time, dream state will be there. Then, where is this change? Not in Atma. This change is in the Prakriti. This change is in the Prakriti. These three states is the conditionings. And they are continuously, one goes through the gross, through the subtle, through the causal. Then again gross, subtle, causal. Gross, subtle, causal. Or causal to straight to waking, to gross. Whichever way. It keeps happening. But whatever happens, the illuminator is always there. Otherwise, how would you know?
So is this Atma reflected consciousness?
No.
It's the nature of
It is the self. It's the witness. As long as it is Atma, it is the witness. The moment we recognize that this Atma is one without a second. It is illuminating not only this but everything in this creation without actually illuminating anything. Because everything is included in it only. Then there is no question of any language then.
Nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about then. Don't try to work it out. Don't try to. In one way it is good also, but one must not, you should not stretch the words to such an extent that that example, because we are just using examples, and examples have their limitation. See?
Yes, listen.
Answer is not in thinking. Again, I am telling. Answer is not in thinking. Answer is not in words. Answer is not in thoughts. The answer is in the self. So let every word that falls on your mind remind you of the self while listening. Like while you are on the station, you are thinking of the train. While you are in the satsang, your continuous attention should be on the self. Everything that we have talked today, every verse has taken us back to the self, isn't it? To that eternal principle. Let attention go there again and again. That is the grace. That's where the grace. That is what is grace, and that is not other than me. Because where all these examples and all these verses are leading you is not other than you. So let this new year bring us to a fuller abidance in our own being. And that's all we can pray. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.